is a deposit and why do I need to put my money at a title company? Hey, I'm Claire Gogan with the Gogan Real Estate team here in Naples, Florida. And I'm here today to explain what an earnest money deposit is. So when you write a contract, that contract is essentially just paper. So the deposit is basically good faith funds that will sit at a third-party intermediary to hold the contract, essentially, to make sure that you as a buyer do what you said you were supposed to do. So that money will sit at the title company, and so if the buyer defaults, that could potentially get released to the seller. You'd have to refer to an attorney in that moment to figure out what happened and if those funds are able to be released to the seller or if they are owed back to the buyer. There's certain clauses throughout the contract. The buyer's protected if the seller defaults or does something where there's liens on the property or something like that. But in general, that is the buyer's good faith money. If that money was never put in the title company, then really all you have is an agreement written on paper between buyer and seller. And there's no recourse for the seller if the buyer defaults. So that is the intention of deposit funds. And those can be done in many different ways. On our contract, we have an initial deposit and we have an additional deposit. They don't have to be used. You don't have to use both of them, but you will always use that initial deposit, right? So that initial deposit, maybe $5,000, $10,000, it really just depends on the price of your contract. In some areas, 10% is customary if it is a cash transaction. Financing can be a little bit different. So please refer to your realtor or attorney for advice on those deposits. But that first deposit, and then you may choose to put a second deposit. Typically, not always, but typically, those will happen after your inspection period. So you're going to put that initial good faith, you're going to complete your inspections to make sure that you want the property, and then you might put a second deposit just to show good faith after that point that, you know what, we feel confident and we are moving forward. We're going to go ahead and place that second deposit. That second deposit might strengthen your offer during negotiations. So ultimately, these deposits can be used to strengthen or weaken your offer in those negotiations. So again, deposit is there to enforce the contract, and it's just buyer good faith money. It will sit at a third party, title company or an attorney's office who is handling the closing, and that money can be disputed if the buyer or the seller defaults. There's different options there. Please refer to your attorney. But that essentially is what a deposit is.